Someone asked me recently what tools and techniques I give people to manage stress. And in that moment, I saw something deeper than I have before. I saw, wow, if tools and techniques worked to manage stress, why would the US economy have suffered $300 billion in lost productivity due to stress last year? And that's from the American Psychological Association statistics. But we continue to push and peddle tools and techniques as being the answer to managing stress. There's a few key problems with that, in my experience and in my opinion. The most important one is they don't work. They don't work largely because, first of all, they're someone else's good idea. So they may very well work for the person who discovered them, but they may not be the most suitable for you. And secondly, you have to remember to open your box of tricks or your toolbox and pull out a stress buster in a time when your mind is basically frantic and chaotic. So it's kind of like an unrealistic expectation for people to reach into this magic box and pull out something in moments when they're barely keeping it together mentally. So what I do and what I told my now client is that I won't give you any tools and techniques, but what I will do is I'll help you pull back the curtain on and see how stress is actually being created, how it's impacting you, and how there's simple principles at play that is causing your experience moment to moment. And I said, when you see that deeply enough, you're not going to need to manage stress or implement a magic trick on your mind. Your mind is going to relax itself automatically because it sees what's happening in the moment. That can sound abstract, but it's based on the truth that the source of stress is not what most people think it is. So you probably have a list of what appears to be typical stressors like relationships or your bank balance or traffic or noisy neighbors, the news, whatever. But the short reveal here is that it looks like, or it looks to us like something happens, or there's something like a specific circumstance we're living in and we feel stressed by it. But what is actually happening is that the sensation of stress begins and ends with us. So nothing out there can transmit this feeling of stress into us. It's not physically possible for that to happen. An example, so one morning you wake up, you're feeling stressed about your finances. Your mind is racing with thoughts, it's attracting a host of its relatives. You're worried about your bank account being nearly empty, and you have the physical sensation of stress. It shows up in your body chemistry. But the next morning you wake up, and even though your finances have changed or have not changed, I mean, maybe they've gone down a little bit from yesterday's spending, but minimally, and you don't feel stressed at all. In fact, you feel quite confident and calm that everything will sort itself out. So, how can we explain this if we believe that a situation is causing our stress? In this example, the situation is the same or worse, but we feel differently. The explanation is simple. It isn't a thing, a person, or an event that causes stress. A feeling of stress is simply a human emotion that comes and goes based on the key link of thought. So you have a momentary thought that tells you that this thing, event, or person is the cause of stress, and it looks and feels very real. And in that moment, because we're living in the feeling of our thinking, you have a sensation. We've labeled as stress, so it appears like something out there is causing it. But what if, in fact, it's not the thought that is bringing on the feeling we have labeled as stress,